from Arkansas's #1 trusted source for weather. This is a severe weather alert.
Well, good evening, Arkansas. This is Assistant Chief Forecaster Cameron back here once again. Chief Forecaster Cameron back here again. I haven't changed my title just yet. I'm here to give you guys live coverage going over the tornado warning ongoing in Deshae County at the current time here. So this tornado warning in place is moving southeast at about 25 miles per hour near the Watson area. This is the exact storm that we've been tracking all the way back into Jefferson and in Arkansas County here. So you know anyone in these areas that do need to take their tornado precautions immediately, get away from windows, put as many walls to you on the outside as possible, and get to the lowest area of your home immediately here. Now, I will say this, is this storm in particular is right along the Mississippi River at this current time. The area of rotation, as you can see clearly on that notch right there on that southwest side of the storm, you've got your hail curve right there in Watson, and also you have that southwest area where that little appendage is. That is where you're going to have to watch for that tornado potential here. So let's talk about that rotation indicator at this point, and you can clearly see right in there, just southwest of Watson, there's that area of rotation. As I mentioned before, there is a tornado warning in place. I do believe it's going to go until 7:30 this evening, moving southeast at about, I'm going to clock it at 25 miles per hour. So anyone that is in Arkansas City, along the Mississippi River, I know we got a lot of people doing outdoor activities, fishing, etc. They need to be taking their tornado precautions. You need to get away from windows, put as many walls between you and the outside as possible, and get to that lowest part of your home immediately here. Also, any interest between Watson and Arkansas City and Deshae County, you need to take your tornado precautions immediately at this point. As repeat, the storm is moving southeast. I'm going to clock it about 25 miles per hour. I know it says 23 on the screen, but I'm going to put you about 25 miles per hour. So we're going to get a track on this storm. And bear with me for just 1 second. I may have to switch our radar off and then back on. It's going to be right in here. Give me 1 second. And I'm going to put you about 25 miles per hour. So it's going to be right there at Benoit. That's coming in on the other side of the Mississippi River. It's going to track just to the north and east of Arkansas City. Arkansas City, I wouldn't bank on that. I'd go ahead and seek your tornado precautions just to be on the safe side. But definitely, if you're south of Watson at this point, you definitely need to seek your tornado precautions immediately. Get away from windows, put as many walls to you outside as possible, and get to the lowest area of your home immediately here. So what we're going to do is we're going to zoom this down, and we're going to take a look at your county level. And there it is right in here. I'm going to turn the roads on for just a moment. County Road 53, where you see that green, the green, the red, and even some blue being indicated. That is where that area of rotation is going to be at this current time. So if you know anyone in these areas along County Road 53 over here, this is also going to go. Let's see if I can put a track on this. We're talking Red Fork Road over here. That's going to go right along the Mississippi River. Great River Road. I know there's a lot of river beds over here as well. And as I mentioned before, anyone that's along the Mississippi River at this current time or just to the east of it, as you can see, there's now a new severe thunderstorm warning, and it's going to be tornado possible going into western Mississippi on the other side of the Mississippi River. So I know this is kind of outside of our coverage area, but if you know anyone that's on just the other side of the Mississippi River, we're talking the Benoit area, that's going to be Highway 1, I do believe. Tell them to take their tornado precautions just to be on the safe side here, guys. Like I said before, I haven't heard any confirmed reports that this thing's around. Let me double check over here just to be safe. Let me see over here real quickly here. Right now, I'm not seeing anything in terms of like public reports that it's on the ground. Let me double check that and confirm that at this point. I do see, and this is going to be a little bit of a shout out to one of our guys on Discord. That storm from earlier, when it was back up near Dumas, it did have a wall cloud on it. And if I can get it, and I'm going to show you guys once this tornado warning's dropped, I do believe that was that does look like a wall cloud at one point. That's probably warranted the tornado warning over there, and that was just to the east of Dumas at this point. So I'm going to get you guys that footage once this tornado warning is off the board. But if you know anyone that is just south of Watson, they do need to take the tornado precautions immediately, get away from windows, put as many walls to the outside as possible, and get to the lowest area of your home immediately. And now, what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at the hail tracker. And the hail has been one of the biggest issues throughout the day today. We've had a lot of reports of 2 to 3 inch in diameter hail. This one in here is producing quarter-size hail just south of Watson at this point. moving southeast at about 25 miles per hour, so it's going to go right over the Mississippi River. There's the newest update with the tornado warning, so we're going to take a look at that. But right now, it is definitely producing quarter-size hail, and I would say outside of the tornado threat, probably 60 to 70 mile per hour winds. So tornado warning remains in effect until 7:30 for central DeShay County. A severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado is located over Watson, moving southeast at about 25 miles per hour. Tornado and obviously the potential quarter-size hail, as you guys see on our hail tracker. Also, this is going to include Watson, also Jersey Point and Kelso. That's going to be areas along the Mississippi River or just to the east of the Mississippi River. So if you know anyone in those areas, they do need to take their tornado precautions immediately, get away from windows, put as many walls to uni outside as possible, and get to the lowest area of your home immediately here. So now let's take a look at our thunderstorm wind gust potential. And this is indicating right around, like I said, 65 to 70 mile per hour wind. So regardless if this thing produces a tornado or not, you definitely need to be indoors. You definitely need to be away from the windows and get to that lowest point, because regardless of the tornado threat, this is definitely going to be producing 65 upwards to 70 mile per hour winds as this storm continues to move off towards the south and east here. So what I'm going to do for just a second, let's zoom this out, kind of give you guys a little bit like a reassurance of what's going on across the state. So we have a tornado warning in DeShay County, far southeastern Arkansas. Elsewhere across the state, we've got a few scattered showers, thunderstorms. We have that severe thunderstorm warning in Arkansas County. At this particular moment, none of these storms outside of the DeShay County storm is tornadic at this point. We have a lot of southwest winds. It's been kind of keeping these storms from really getting going tornadic-wise. And some of these storms are actually starting to die off up here in northeastern Arkansas. We still had that strong severe storm in Arkansas County and Phillips County at this point. Multiple severe thunderstorm warnings in northern Mississippi and western Tennessee. But our attention right now goes to the DeShay County storm down here. That's going to be just south of Watson, moving southeast at 25 miles per hour. And like I mentioned before, once that tornado warning's off the board, I'm going to attempt to try to get that photo up, because I do believe that was a wall cloud at one point when this storm was just to the east of Dumas. So there it is right here. Let's go back over to our rotation indicator here. And what I may end up doing, I know I'm using Little Rock's radar. I'm going to switch this over to the Jackson's radar. So you may experience a little bit of glitching for just a little bit. But this is Jackson's radar here. And this is kind of what we call radar loss zone, because it's between Little Rock's radar to the northwest and Jackson's radar to the southeast. So it's going to show this strong area of rotation, and I could see it happening. You know, the storm moving southeast. There could be some localized southeast winds down here in this area. So I could see it potentially occurring. Regardless if this thing produces a tornado or not, you always want to take those tornado precautions. You always want to get to that lowest part of your home, away from the windows, away from the exterior walls, regardless if this thing's on the ground or it's radar indicated. But at this particular moment, it's going to be a little hard to determine on how strong this storm actually is, given that it's like right on the edge of Jackson's radar and it's right on the edge of Little Rock's radar at this current time here. So as I said before, take tornado precautions immediately, get away from windows, put as many walls to uni outside as possible, get to the lowest area of your home. So give me just 1 second. Let me double check and make sure we should be live on YouTube. I'm double checking now. Yeah, I'm seeing it. I'm seeing we're live on YouTube. So let me double check that. Make sure we're good. Okay. So yeah, we are live on YouTube. We're live on Facebook as well. So December 4, there's the tornado warning storm in DeShay County. I'm gonna zoom this out one last time, because I know there's a lot of people coming in. They're seeing tornado warning and trying to figure out, you know, what's going on and everything like that. This is in far southeastern Arkansas. This is in DeShay County. Elsewhere across the state, you should be good to go in terms of the tornado threat. We've got a lot of strong thunderstorms ongoing, severe thunderstorms, in Arkansas County and Phillips County. Elsewhere across the state, we're good. But right now, we're watching this DeShay County storm at this current point here. So, yeah, I do believe, it was that same storm from earlier on. I'm going to check and make sure. Yeah, it was the same storm. I'm going to get that footage up for you guys once this is all said and done. But if you know anyone in this area, tell them to take your tornado precautions immediately. I know this is a very, very low populated area, but I know there's someone that lives along the Mississippi River, especially on the east side of DeShay County. Or even in that case, West Mississippi. If you know anyone that's in Benoit or in Shaw or just southwest of Cleveland, that's on the Mississippi side of things, tell them to take your tornado precautions. Even though this is a severe thunderstorm warned / tornado possible, you still need to take your tornado precautions immediately here. So make sure that you're taking those precautions. So before this continues to move towards southeast, let's take a look at our wind gust potential. Like I said before, regardless if this thing produces a tornado or not, very concerned about upwards to 70-mile-per-hour winds. And that's been the story all day long with these storms. They have not been tornadic, but they have been capable of producing upwards to 70-mile-per-hour winds, and also upwards to lime-sized hail, which is roughly 2-inch in diameter hail. So about 68, 69, 70-mile-per-hour winds on the south and east side of Watson, south and east of Dumas at this point, east of Winchester, north and east of McGee, north of Arkansas City. Arkansas City, you're kind of in between the tornado warning and the severe thunderstorm warning at this point. Still take your tornado precautions. It always matters, especially in situations like this. You may not directly be in the path, but if you're planning on going north or you're planning on going east and stuff like that, just stay where you are, stay hunkered down, let this storm pass, and then you can continue on your plans here. But as I said before, something that we are going to have to watch is those 70-mile-per-hour winds. Let's take a look at our hail size for just a second here. Still producing quarter-size hail just south of Watson at this point, and it's going to continue to move out towards southeast here. So Benoit, you've got about 7:35. That's roughly about 30 minutes. Tornado precautions. Just because you're in a severe thunderstorm warning doesn't mean anything. You still need to take those tornado precautions immediately at this point. This is going to stay north of Arkansas City. Let's take a look for just a second, not taking anything away from the ongoing tornado warning, but I want to kind of talk to you guys about these storms as well. So what we're going to do, let's do this. We're going to tilt this so you guys kind of get the visual of all three storms at this point. So we have the tornado warning at the bottom corner of your screen. You have the 2 severe thunderstorm warnings in Arkansas County and Phillips County. One just south and east of Elmira or just north and west of DeWitt. It's currently producing upwards to lime-sized hail, even some apple-sized hail in that core right there just southeast of Elmira. So anyone in these areas, even though it's not a tornado warning, you still need to get indoors. You still need to get away from the windows as well, because these storms will be definitely capable of producing 70-mile-per-hour winds and also the potential of very large hail here. And also that goes for our folks over here in Phillips County as well. The Marlville area, Lakeview, West Helena. A lot of people out here are doing outdoor activities. It's a Sunday evening. Make sure that you are staying aware of the situation. Stay weather aware, guys. Severe thunderstorm warning needs the same respect as that red polygon you see at the bottom of your screen. So if you know anyone in these areas, they do need to be getting inside. They do need to get away from the windows at this point. So what we're going to do is let's take a look at the thunderstorm gust potential. And you can see definitely, like I said before, 70-mile-per-hour winds with this one down here. That's tornado 1. That's just south and east of Watson. That's going to continue to move towards the Mississippi River. It's going to go to our folks over here in West Mississippi. So if you know anyone in these areas, take tornado precautions. Just because the severe thunderstorm warning doesn't mean anything. Arkansas County, you've got about 65 to 70-mile-per-hour winds with that severe thunderstorm warning. Even though it's not a tornado warning, you still need to get inside. You still need to get away from the windows. We've had a lot of reports of hail going through the windows. We've had a lot of roof damage and stuff like that. So keep that in mind. You don't want to be outside and stuff like this. So that's going to go for Arkansas County and also Phillips County over here, the Marlville, the Lakeview, and also West Helena area. What we're going to do for just a minute is we're going to put a track on these storms here. So this one in particular is moving southeast. I'll clock in at about 30 miles per hour. No particular cities in the track of this. This is going to track between DeWitt, St. Charles, and also a lane over here that's going to be in Phillips County. 65 to 70-mile-per-hour winds with these storms. Regardless, it's going to go right through those areas. So make sure if you're traveling or you're doing something outside or you have like a cookout or whatever, make sure you're getting inside, you're getting away from those windows, guys. That's what I want to stress at this point. And as I mentioned before, we have this other storm over here in Phillips County that we're going to have to watch. This one's going to continue to move off towards the east. I'll clock this one about 40 miles per hour. Let's see if we can get some cities pulled up. That's going to be Helena right around at 725 area. Falcon about 754. Sledge right around 757. That's going to be on the other side of the Mississippi River. And Crenshaw is going to be right around 8 o'clock. That's going to also be over there. That's towards the Sardis area over there in Mississippi at this point. So I mentioned before, tornado warning still remains in effect until 7:30. I do believe what they're going to end up doing is they're going to end up dropping the tornado warning or extending it into their counties over there in West Mississippi. All right, so before, I know this is outside of our coverage area, but if you know anyone in those areas, they do need to take your tornado precautions just to be on the safe side. Like I mentioned before, I'm working on getting that that footage up for you guys so I can show you what happened earlier, because this storm in particular was the same one that was near Dumas, and it did have a wall cloud at one point. So bear with me for just a minute. Let me see if I can get over to the rotation indicator. I'm going to let this loop for just a moment. All right, and what I'm going to do, and I'm going to show you guys where this was here. So bear with me for just a moment. Let me get this up and going. So let me see here. Also, yeah, I'm going to keep an eye on that Newport and Independence storm as well. I think there's some localized southeast winds at this point that is kind of helping out in terms of helping out with the tornado potential. Right now, we've had a lot of southwest winds today, and that's been kind of cutting into the tornado potential. But I'm thinking what's going on is there's another area of low pressure coming out of southwest Missouri, and you may have some localized back southeast winds, and any storms that are still lingering about may have the potential of producing wall clouds, or maybe even a brief tornado or two. So something that we're going to watch closely here. That tornado warning still remains suspended. I'm working on getting that up for you guys over here. That's helping earlier. Give me 1 second. I'm going to get this up for you guys at the point. Right. Okay, so save that. I'm going to transfer this here. And we're going to get you guys that photo here in just a second here. And that's going to come from Dumas. And this is coming from Discord. This is the public report coming from Discord over here. I'm going to get that photo up for you guys here. So give me just 1 second. And I'm going to get that up for you. So, like I said before, still going to continue to monitor that tornado warning. I'm going to zoom this out so you guys can kind of see what's going on. And I'm keeping an eye on this one up here. I'm going to go back over to Little Rock's radar for just a moment. We go back over to radar. And we're going to go over to the Jackson County one. And this one in particular over here, bear with me for just a moment. Okay. I'm not sure what happened there. Had a little bit of a technical issue here, guys. So give me 1 second. I'll get this up for you guys. In the meantime, while we're getting that up, I'm going to show you guys that photo from earlier. So bear with me for just a moment. I'm going to get that photo up for you guys over here. So let me see here. Okay. All right. So we got that for you. So we're gonna pull this up and show you guys what I mean here. So this was earlier on, and I don't need it being that size. Let's see if I can get this up for you guys right in here. Okay. So we right here. Give me 1 second. 1 second. Okay. So it's gonna be right there. So I'm gonna transfer this over so you guys can see. Right there. That was the photo from earlier on from that storm that was near the Dumas area. As you can see, definitely has that structure, definitely has that lowering, and I can see why they did opt to go tornado warning with that storm here. And this was just to the east side of Dumas at this point. I do appreciate our producer Rich for getting that up for me at this point here, guys. So that's what we got at this point. The tornado warning still remains in effect. I think got another tornado warning over there in Tennessee at this point. I'm going to get this up for you guys. It'll be coming up relatively shortly. There it is. So we got our radar back. I'm going to keep an eye on that DeWitt storm as well. But this one was from earlier on. That was that storm from earlier on that had that wall cloud at this point here, guys. So give me just 1 second. Let's switch this back over. So we are good. Let me see if I can get this up. Okay. So there we go. All right. Perfect. All right, guys. So I mentioned before, tornado warning still remains in effect across this area here down here in far southeastern Arkansas. I'm going to keep an eye on this one. Now, this one in here near the DeWitt area is starting to produce an area of rotation at this point. Starting to see a little bit of a tightening just to the northwest of DeWitt, just south and east of Amara. This is in Arkansas County, so we're going to keep an eye on that. I'm going to keep an eye on the one up here as well. That's going to be 1 second. It's going to be Newport in the Independence County area. So it's going to be this one right here. Got to keep an eye on that. definitely is gonna have gusty winds upwards to 60 miles per hour. Gonna move to the southeast, but I'm gonna keep an eye on this area of rotation. That's just southeast of Newport, or just to the west of south and east of Newport, or just to the north of Weldon at this point. Gonna keep an eye on that. That's the area of rotation I'm gonna keep an eye on. Let's go back over to our radar real quick. Therefore, this one, the Mississippi, I'm gonna keep an eye on this one up here. This one's starting to show an area of rotation as well. Gonna come right towards the DeWitt area. At this moment, what we're gonna do is we're gonna go back over to our rotation indicator. At this particular moment, the rotation is not as defined as the one that was just to the south of there near Dumas. At this current point, watch it. If you know anyone that is in this area, I would go ahead and get inside, get away from windows, and just kind of have that mindset of, hey, if this does produce a wall cloud, or we start seeing a lot more of a rotation on the storm, then you'll be wanting to take those tornado precautions. But if you are anywhere in the in the DeWitt area or the St. Charles area, you definitely need to be getting inside and getting away from windows and getting away from those exterior walls. As a matter of fact, let's take a look at the hail size for just a moment. You can see that's upwards to quarter-size hail. That's just to the north and east side of DeWitt, or just south and west of St. Charles at this point. This one in particular is moving away. That's going just south of West Helena at the time. It's going to go along the Mississippi River. And as I mentioned before, we're still monitoring this tornado warning down here. I'm not sure why we're having issues. Give me just 1 second. There we go, guys. Not sure why we were having issues with that. So we're good with that now. There's tornado warning here. That's going to be on the east side of DeShay County. Now it's producing upwards to lime-sized hail, which is 2-inch in diameter. That's going to move into West Mississippi at this point. Right up here, I'm going to keep an eye on these storms up here as well. 60-mile-per-hour winds, upwards to a quarter of an inch size hail, which is 1 inch in diameter. Starting to see this hail size starting to increase, especially on that south and west side of West Helena. Also going to keep an eye on the wet storm as well. I'm going to go back over to our reflectivity, and you can see, and most definitely, there's a hail indicator, and on that southwest side, kind of similar to your tornado warning just to the south of here, starting to show that area of rotation. Once again, I'm going to have to keep an eye on that, and we'll see what they're going to end up doing with the DeWitt storm here. So we're going to, even though this tornado warning is going to be likely dropped and moved into Mississippi, I'm going to stay on just a little bit longer just to see what ends up happening with the DeWitt storm. And then we're going to keep an eye on the one up here in Newport, and also towards the Toledo area. That's going to be right up here along 167. Something that we're going to have to watch. Right now it's disorganized, but there is an outflow boundary right in here. That's going to be right near the Searcy area. If it can latch onto that outflow boundary, get itself better organized, we'll have to see what ends up happening here with this particular storm. So we're going to keep an eye on that. We have two severe thunderstorm warnings. Those two up there, a special weather statement. Still that tornado warning down here in DeShay County at this current time here. These storms are going to quickly move out of the area by the time we get towards the next hour or two. And that should wrap up today's severe weather threat. But we've got Monday, and we got Tuesday severe weather that we're going to talk about. And I'm going to have a blog for you guys tomorrow talking to you guys about Tuesday's threat. Tuesday's threat could be rather significant, especially for our folks out here in central and southern and southwestern Arkansas. I have to keep an eye on that. But at this current point, tornado warnings remain in effect until 7:30. Now they have opted to go considerable with the wet storm. I'm gonna keep an eye on this because it's kind of following in the same path as the wet storm did, just a little bit further to the north and east. Definitely producing almost 2-inch diameter hail, 60-mile-per-hour winds. Got to keep an eye on that. This storm in particular, the tornado warning storm, that one is along the Mississippi River at this time, and that's going to continue to move into West Mississippi. Benoit, any areas along the Mississippi River, you definitely need to take your tornado precautions immediately. Get away from windows, put as many walls to uni outside as possible, and get to the lowest area of your home immediately, especially if you know anyone in this particular area. I'm going to draw my attention to the Arkansas County storm at this point. Right now, definitely a large hail producer, almost a 2-inch in diameter hail. As a matter of fact, we can take a look at that. There's thunderstorm wind gust potential, easily 65 to 70 mile per hour winds. That's going to be in the east and northeast side of DeWitt. I'm going to keep an eye on that southwest side where you see the winds kind of drop off. That kind of helps with the tornado development on the southwest side of things. So I'm going to watch that close. But let's talk about the hail potential at this point. And right now, as before, almost 2-inch diameter hairs. You can see that darker blue. We can actually zoom this down and kind of show you guys like a street level view where the hell core is going to be. It's going to be right there on Malone Road, right here. That's just going to be on the north and east side of the wet at this point. It's going to continue to move out towards the southeast. It's going to go along the Mississippi River here. So this is southeast of Amara. This is north of Gillette, just to the north and east of the wet, and south and west of St. Charles at this current time. As I mentioned before, we're going to have to keep an eye on this. The tornado warning still remains effect down there. I'm not comfortable with letting that storm go as of right now. It has shown that signature, especially on this side, as we can draw this out, especially on this side right in here. It has shown that signature of a brief rotation in there. So I'm going to keep an eye on that storm. Let's see what ends up happening over the next couple of scans here. Now, we can draw our attention back up towards the north. Let's take a look at a few of these storms up here. We got a few storms near the Newport area. These storms are quickly moving off towards the east. So I want to reassure everybody that this is going to be done within the next 1 to 2 hours. And we're not expecting a second round of severe weather or anything like that for tonight. We should be good to go across the area here. This is going to be your main round, and this is going to continue to move into West Mississippi, across Tennessee, and also into Alabama at the current time here. So we're going to have to keep an eye on that. This particular storm, let's take a look at that. Just one last scan. This is about to be out of Arkansas. Let's take a look at your rotation indicator right in there. Okay, right along the Mississippi River. Capable of producing a tornado. I haven't heard anything about it being on the ground or anything like that. Still need to take your tornado precautions just to be on the safe side. We can zoom this down and show you guys like the street level view and where this is going to be. So this is right there along the Mississippi River. I mean, it's right along the Mississippi River at this point, and it's going to continue to move towards the south and east, and it's going to go into West Mississippi. So the Arkansas side of this storm is wrapping up, but this is going to continue for our folks over here in West Mississippi at this point. I'm going to continue to monitor this one. There's the area of rotation right there just to the east side of the wet. I'm going to continue to monitor this storm very, very closely. As a matter of fact, I know I've got our rotation indicator up, but we're going to go over to our gate-to-gate product real quick, and we're going to take a look at that. So right in here, there's your hell core. It's going to be on the north and east side of things. You always want to look in the southern and the west side. That's where that area of rotation is going to be. Let's go back over to our rotation indicator. So it's going to be roughly right in the same area. Let's take a look at your hell core. Because if the rotation is near the hell core, then it's likely hell that is producing the what we call the hell spike. But let's take a look at this real fast. I'm going to go back over to this. Okay, so there's our current radar. There's the newest scan. And it's starting to lose that appendage. Let's see what happens. Like I mentioned before, I'm not comfortable with letting this storm kind of go right now. That's why live coverage is still continuing. Even though the tornado warning itself is about to be out of the state, I'm going to monitor this very, very closely here. I'm going to put a track on this storm. So give me just 1 second. Okay, 1 second here. All right, and let's put a track on this storm real fast here. So there's no tornado warning with the storm right now. I'm going to clock it about, I'll say 35 miles per hour. To move towards that, that's funny, Alligator. There's actually a town called Alligator, Mississippi. But anyways, this is going to go into those areas. It's going to go right along the Mississippi River, similar to that tornado warning just to the south. And with the newest scan, it's for one, that's the storm to the south is really keeping things from getting going tornado-wise. Like, you could definitely see how it's had an influence. It's not really allowing for inflow to get in. It's not really allowing for that circulation to kind of get going. We can back this up. Let's do a loop real quick. You can see over the last couple of scans how that appendage is really starting to get absorbed within the storm. So this is becoming more of a damaging wind / large hail threat versus a tornado threat, which is typical because you have southwest winds in Arkansas right now. You don't have southeast. If you had southeast winds with this particular storm, I'd bet you about $100 we'd be dealing with a tornado warning right now. But right now, you've got a lot of southwest winds. The one in particular just to the south was able to take advantage of some locally southeast winds. They warned it because it did have a potential wall cloud, which you guys saw on footage just earlier on. That one in particular was a special case. This one, I'm not sure this one's going to do it or not. You got too much southwest winds down here, but we're going to keep an eye on that at this current point. Let's zoom this out, show you guys what's going on up here as well. The tornado warning is still there, by the way, until 7:30, but the storm itself has now crossed over the Mississippi River, and it's going to Mississippi, so it's now officially off of our board. But if you know anyone in West Mississippi, they definitely need to be taking their tornado precautions immediately. And now, outflow boundary just to the south of Searcy. Searcy is probably a lot cooler now that outflow boundary has pushed through. We're going to continue to monitor this storm in particular. I know we've gotten some reports of a lowering with this storm. It is disorganized right now. I'm not really seeing much with the storm in particular, but we're going to continue to monitor it very closely. We've got other areas in the Morrow area. This one in particular, I wouldn't be surprised if another severe thunderstorm warning gets issued. Definitely large hail producers at the current point. I'm still going to monitor this storm down here just to the east and southeast of DeWitt, or just south of St. Charles at the current time. Right now, no ongoing tornado warning for this storm or anything like that. It's just seeking suspicion about this storm because it's been showing signs of rotation, especially on that southwest side flank of it. Got to watch it close. I don't know if it's going to do it or not, because I mentioned before, you have southwest winds kind of keeping everything from from instantly going tornadic. And what I mean by that, I can kind of draw that out for you guys, give you guys a better explanation. So right now in Arkansas, you have a lot of what's called southwest wind, okay? And for any storm to become tornadic, like this one in particular, you have to have southeast wind, okay? You have to have southeast winds in place because that helps with the flow. You've got northwest flow coming in. If you had southeast winds, you would have a lot of turning going on in the atmosphere, and any cell that had that appendage, kind of like what you saw in DeWitt, that little appendage you saw just a second ago, those would be the areas of concern for the tornado potential. But you have southwest wind, which is counteracting the rotation. So that's why these storms are instantly going hail producers, they're damaging wind producers. You may have to watch for a brief tornado, maybe a wall cloud. It may attempt to do it for a brief second, but it's not going to be, anything like a major tornado outbreak or anything like that, because you have southwest winds at this point. So a little bit of a lesson with that. Kind of explain why you guys are not instantly seeing a tornado warning or anything like that with this particular storm. But regardless, if this thing doesn't produce a tornado or anything like that, 70-mile-per-hour winds, upwards to 2-inch in diameter hail, it does have that considerable damage tag with it. You definitely need to be getting inside, guys. Like I mentioned before, I know there's a lot of people that have outdoor plans, that are camping, that are, doing their business and or whatnot. If you know anyone in the path of this that's going to go along the Mississippi River, once again, I know I got a lot of people that are doing outdoor activities along the Mississippi River, especially this time of the year. Give them a heads up. Tell them, hey, we got a 70-mile-per-hour, 2-inch in diameter hailstorm coming in. Pretty nasty. Will lead to power outages. It can lead to down trees, etc. You definitely want to be inside, guys. You do not want to be outside in a situation like this here. Now, as I mentioned before, this storm in particular, now gone. It's right there along the Mississippi River. It's going into West Mississippi. I'm going to continue to monitor this to see what happens downstream. And then we will let you guys know here in just a little bit here. Now, there's now a new severe thunderstorm warning over here that's going to go. Take a look at this and stop the radar for just a moment. 1-inch hail, 60-mile-per-hour winds. It's going to go for southeastern Lee County, northeastern Phillips, and also Tunica County, which is in Mississippi. It's going to go until 8 o'clock. 60-mile-per-hour winds and up to 1-inch in diameter hail. Let's take a look at the hail size for just a moment. And as I mentioned before, you got to keep an eye on that, especially the one down here in DeWitt. This one, it has that considerable damage tag with it, producing almost 2-inch in diameter hail, which is lime-sized hail, by the way. Which doesn't do a lot of car damage. It will leave dents, by the way, but it won't bust windows or anything like that. But with 70-mile-per-hour winds, you can get wind-driven hail. So keep that in mind, especially if you're planning on traveling or going out or anything like that, or you're doing any outdoor plans. Make sure that you're inside, you're away from those windows, guys. So we're going to continue to monitor that. The hail size is definitely increasing per scan. You guys can see that clear as day. Over the last couple of scans here, went from quarter-size hail to now over to lime-size hail. That's going to be just to the south and east of DeWitt. As a matter of fact, let's take a look at this. That's about 2-inch diameter hail And now what they have done is they have opted to go with a regular severe thunderstorm warning, 1 inch in diameter hail, 60-mile-per-hour winds. I'm still seeing evidence that this could produce 2 inch diameter hail. However, anyone in the path, they still need to get inside, still need to get away from windows, and still need to get away from the exterior walls. You don't want to be outside in something like this. So take a look at this real fast. So before, the tornado warning itself is going to be expired at 7:30. Let's take a look at that for just one last time. Tornado warning in central DeKalb County, the Shea County, not the DeKalb County, the Shea County, will expire at 7:30 this evening. The storm which prompted the warning has moved out of the area. Thus far, the warning has been allowed to expire. Hail, gusty winds, and heavy rainfall are still expected with this storm. So that tornado warning is done. It's going to be allowed to expire at 7:30. We still have ongoing severe thunderstorm warnings over here. But at this current time, guys, I do feel safe enough to let you guys go off of the live stream. However, radar updates are going to continue on the page. Make sure you download our mobile app as well, Arkansas Weather Watchers, on Google Play Store, and also on the Apple Play Store as well. Stay with us. Stay updated. As I mentioned before, this has been a severe weather update, and we'll continue to keep you guys updated right here, your source for all things Arkansas weather.